Let's say a person is 2 lakhs in debt, that is 200,000 rupees or around $2,400 in debt. And let's say the same person has an income of about 25,000 rupees a month, that is around $300, and they're able to save around 5,000 rupees a month, which is around $60. Now, if you hear a dog in the background, I'm sorry about that. This is the only time I've got to record, and there are dogs barking. My name is Nandini, and this is Figuring It Out Alive. Now, I asked the members of my free WhatsApp group called the Empowered Transformation Tribe on what they think this person should do because they also don't have an emergency fund. You are absolutely welcome to join this group in which I share all kinds of things. Last month, December 2023, we were focusing on money-related things. And though we're shifting focus now, I'm still going to be making a lot more videos about money, so please subscribe for more and join my free WhatsApp group. The link is in the description. And a big thank you to everyone who participated in this little poll, because 2 people said that this person should use their savings to build up their emergency fund. 8 people said that they should be clearing their debts ASAP. And around 3 people said they should be doing both at the same time. Now, this is an imagined scenario. Nevertheless, numbers never lie, so we're going to do some calculations with numbers, and then based on different circumstances, I'm going to tell you what I think is the best approach. Now, 2 lakhs, which is 200,000 rupees divided by 5,000 is 40. It would take 40 months for this person to clear their debts without any interest. That's a little over 3 years and 4 months. That's a long time. And mind you, during these 3 years, if there was any emergency where the person had to spend a little bit more money, they wouldn't really be able to, like the time would just get extended, right? So an emergency fund is so essential to build up. Now, the general guidelines are when you're building up your emergency fund, try to save up 3 months first and then get to 6 months. Most people say that you should have 6 months of all your expenses saved up in a place where you can access them in case of any emergency or in case you happen to lose your job and you're left looking for a job, right? So let's calculate that. This person has an income of 25,000 rupees and is able to save 5,000 every month. So that means on a regular basis, this person is spending 20,000 rupees on all their expenses. And we are not taking into account their debt at the moment. We're only calculating how much this person has to save up in their emergency fund. So if we start with a 3-month emergency fund, that's 20 times 3, 60,000. And similarly, if a person managed to save that much and wanted to, save up 3 months more, so 6 months would be 1,20,000 rupees. Now, once again, let's calculate how long it would take to save up 3 months, which is 60,000 rupees. So 60 divided by 5, it would take 12 months. Oh my gosh. It would take 1 year to save up 60,000 rupees. You know what? That's actually not bad. For a lot of people, it takes quite a long time to save up 3 months of all their expenses. So this is not a bad deal at all. And definitely there are ways to speed this up by earning a little extra money on the side to, put into this goal of saving up an emergency fund. So it doesn't have to take as long as 12 months. Okay, so that is only for the 3-month emergency fund, right? And the same way to save up 6 months of expenses, this person would have to save up 5,000 rupees for 2 years to save up 20,000 per month, 6 months worth of that. But aren't we neglecting this 2 lakh debt? Yes, we are. So now, my friends, circumstance and situations definitely come into play here. I would be curious to know what actually got this person in debt in the first place and to see if we can avoid that in the future. Okay, of course, if it's a medical expense, if it's some sort of accident, these things can happen and there is little to no way to prevent it. Nevertheless, it's important to analyze that. It's also very, very important to come up with a repayment scheme that is suitable and digestible to you and your needs. My strong suggestion to this hypothetical individual is to try to get a higher paying job or to somehow lower their expenses in order to save up more money, because paying back a debt without even calculating interest for over 3 years while not having an emergency fund is not the best option. Emergencies happen in life, and not just emergencies, but inflation is a very real thing these days. So expenses, they tend to fluctuate. If this person is living in an urban city in India, their expenses are already pretty low, I'm guessing, because the way I thought of it in my mind, if they're spending 20,000, let's say they're living in a shared accommodation or a PG where they're spending maybe 5,000 a month on rent roughly, and let's say 5,000 a month on food, and that leaves them with 5,000, let's say, for transport, which might sound a little costly, but we can adjust that with the other things, and 5,000 for other living expenses. Now I know that the rent might be more, the transport might be less, there might be other bills, The other expenses would include phone bills, electricity bills, so many bills in life, as well as clothing purchases, the daily stuff that one needs to buy, like shampoo and things like that. So point number one of the strategy would be to definitely track every single expense and every single bit of income that the person can get. Number two, analyze the patterns of these things, see if they can save any more money. Number three, before quitting this job, trying to get either other side hustles going, or getting a higher paid job, or seeing if there can be any sort of additional amounts that this person can earn. And while doing this third step, it is so important to try to analyze our relationship with money. There might be so many things that we do for other people without actually asking for any money. And just remembering that actually money is so essential for me in my life, and money is something I'm grateful for. And let's just be honest with people. Just tell people that, I have this financial goal. I'm trying to meet it. I would love your support with that. So is there anything I can do? You'd be surprised by how people would be willing. We're not asking for people to help you out financially. We're asking for opportunities for you to make money, as well as telling people that you're probably not going to be going around spending a lot of money. I remember quite a few years ago, when I was really into like frugality, I had decided to do like a no spend month. And at the same time, I was definitely going to prioritize socializing as much as I could. And I remember this was, I think, in January, and I told one of my friends, hey, I would love to meet up with you. But rather than going to a restaurant where, we'd spend money on food and drinks, I said, can we go somewhere where we like bring our own food and we can share food? And my friend was like, Nandini, that's such a great idea, because I've been wanting to eat healthy. Like, that's my goal for this year. So I also don't really want to go out and just eat whatever we eat in the restaurant. Let's go out to a picnic. We ended up going to the park in Connaught Place in the center, with the big flag. That's where we ended up going. And I had some upma, and she had brought, I don't remember what she brought. But we had such a nice time. We sat there, we chatted, we looked at all the couples and people, milling about, and talked. And the weather was really nice because it was in January back then. So it was such a good experience. Just know that your quality of life does not have to go down just because you're saving money or you're trying to meet a financial goal, such as your emergency fund number, as well as bringing down your debts. Okay, you're going to feel so good paying off those debts and hopefully never getting back into debt either. A show that I would recommend you watch, there are so many episodes of it online here on YouTube, is Till Debt Do Us Part, DEBT. That's a great show that I used to watch. So it's a play on words of, till death do us part. So it's about these married couples or couples who are in great financial debt and are struggling financially. And a financial advisor, I guess, maybe she's a finance expert for sure. Her name's Gail Vaz Oxlade, and she helps these people get to grips with the reality of their money and then come up with a strategy to pay things back. And she is on it. She forces people to use cash. I would strongly recommend that as well. Instead of like doing the Google Pay and the UPI payments and swiping cards, debit cards, credit cards, like once a month at the beginning of the month, once you've set a budget for yourself, and you can only set a budget for yourself once you know your expenses, and once you have planned what your expenses will be for the next month, take out that amount in cash either each week or each fortnight, every 14 days, and force yourself to pay in cash. I know that we can't do that with our bills. Quite often we're paying our bills online. Sure, pay your bills online, but everything else, when it comes to food, when it comes to, clothes, whatever else, shampoo, I don't think there's any shopkeeper. I have never met a single shopkeeper who's not happy with cash. Genuinely. And yes, be responsible enough not to just be carrying a wad of 500 rupee notes, get yourself smaller cash so that you can pay people in cash. And that way, holding a big wad of money makes you feel really abundant and rich. That's something I've definitely noticed. But it also makes us feel so mindful of the fact that it's getting thinner. Before I started off with all these 500s and now I'm down to some 200s and 100s. Whoa, let me take a moment here. Let me spend a little more mindfully. So that's something that Gail Vaz Oxlade that's something that she puts every single person on that show on. So I strongly recommend watching that show for some inspiration, because because you will realize that people have to make changes. You have to be brave enough to make changes to get to a better financial place. And your finances are 100% your responsibility. Even if you are paying for other people and their livelihoods, once again, your finances are 100% your responsibility. There has to be clear communication. There has to be an attitude of humbleness and acceptance, as well as finding that inner power to know that I can change this. Okay, so I will leave you here. To simplify my message, what I would say is it is absolutely essential to do both at the same time. And at the same time, I don't think it would be very effective to split your 5,000 rupee savings into 2,500 for the emergency fund and 2,500 in debt repayment, because then that would be like six and a half years of paying off a 2 lakh loan. Once again, not calculating the insane interest rate which would probably even be on it unless you've borrowed it from a family member or a friend. Okay, a very, very important point. An emergency fund is for emergencies. So take that amount and put it into a completely separate bank account that you do not use at all for your daily expenses. As far as I'm aware, most bank accounts do have like a minimum amount that you need to keep in it. So try to choose a bank account that has a very, very high interest rate in a savings account, right? Try to get a savings account, a completely separate savings bank account with a very high interest rate where you can deposit money without ever withdrawing it unless it's an absolute emergency. Trust me, you are going to feel so happy watching that amount grow and grow and grow, okay? It's gonna feel really, really good. One last thing about paying off the debt is I don't have much experience in this because I have avoided debt like it's death. I've avoided debt like the plague in my life. So I'm not qualified to really give you advice on that. There are so many great YouTubers out there who you can, get a little bit of advice from, but remember that your circumstances must be taken into account. So one thing I've noticed a lot of people say is that they can often speak to the institution that they borrowed money from to see if they can negotiate on the interest rates as well as the payment plan. This is so important to do. I know you might be feeling nervous. I know you may even be avoiding answering the calls perhaps and things like that, but facing it head on is the most beautiful thing. And just try to remember that money is a beautiful thing in your life. And by facing these things, you're showing money that, you know what, I'm taking responsibility and I care about you. And also trust that you are coming in to these conversations with the people. Hopefully they're people, right? Speak to a real person and show them with your attitude, with your energy that, listen, I'm taking this debt very seriously and I definitely have a plan to pay you back. Here's my current financial reality. You know, I'm here, I want to pay you back, let's work something out. I want this to work out, you know? Come in with that sort of positive attitude. It's not even a positive attitude. It's an attitude of absolute responsibility, of taking full accountability for the debt, for the money coming into your life and who you owe money to. That is such a powerful, wonderful thing. Be clear-headed and get straight to your points. Don't fall for any more schemes, guys. No. Take people's advice always before signing any contract, okay? Do your research as well. Always do your research. So no borrowing whatsoever to pay anything back. And no borrowing whatsoever even for your emergency fund, because the emergency fund is there to help be a cushion for the times when one needs a little more money. So my strong advice would be to at least put 4 out of the 5,000 rupees into an emergency fund and try as hard as you can. Be as creative as you possibly can. Be as open and honest with your friends and your family and your social circles and maybe even your boss as you possibly can to find opportunities to get more money. Even if that means that, you go around with a mehendi cone. If you have the ability to do mehendi on people's hands, charge a few hundred for that. That is a significant amount of money that you can, once again, not spend on stuff, put into either your emergency fund or towards paying back your debt. Small things definitely add up. Even I would say at this point, if you're only saving 5,000 rupees, even saving 5 rupees a day, it adds up, but never ever at the cost of your health or your mental well-being. Okay, being in debt, struggling financially is already, it definitely takes a toll up here, and the mind is not separate from the body, but keep taking care of your health, keep eating really well, okay? Do not compromise on that. Don't compromise too much on travel either, because I remember when I used to travel a lot in Delhi, it was incredibly draining to be commuting and being squeezed in buses over and over, and then arguing with the auto drivers about how much it would be to go to the metro station and stuff. So whatever system you've got going, see if you can make some alterations, and always know that any alteration you make will require an adjustment period for your body and for your mind. Anyway, I feel like I've talked a lot. Thank you very much for listening and watching. I would love to hear your comments below, and you're absolutely welcome to join the Empowered Transformation Tribe WhatsApp group, which is in the description of this video. My name is Nandini, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.